Mike Owens, an inside fighting, joined today by Grant Dawson, who's coming off his huge win at UFC 311 over Diego Ferreira. Grant, always a pleasure, my man. How are things at you today?
Things are good, bro. Coming off a big win, I would think my toughest win yet. So I'm happy with the performance. I'm a happy man right now.
We were talking a little bit off camera, and you told me in the pre-fight interview that we did that you were planning to take a trip after your win. Where did you go, and what was that like? And is that kind of a ritual for you to try and decompress after such a hard fight camp?
Yeah, so it's actually the opposite. I never go on
Mm.
vacations. I've been to the only vacation that I've been on where I like was bummed that I was leaving the vacation. I went to Scotland. My wife and I went to Scotland, and I'm a huge Loch Ness Monster fan and
Okay.
believer, and we got to go to Lake Loch, and that was sick. So yeah, that was really cool. But we went to Utah and we went skiing in Utah. The mountain air was not for me. It was cold. I couldn't catch my breath because of the altitude. So it was good to see family and stuff. But other than that, I was ready to get back to work.
Where's your favorite place to holiday in the US?
Ah, man, I don't really go on vacations. That's the problem is I guess, can I say the gym? That's my favorite place to
Okay.
be. Okay. So, I'm not really a holiday guy. I'm not really a vacation guy. I'm not. That's not me. I like routine. I like to stick to it. I like to do what I'm good at, and yeah, I'm not a big holiday guy.
Sounds like a very Grant Dawson answer. Um, let's chat about the fight. First and foremost, have you had a chance to watch it back? And if so, what did you make of your performance?
Yeah, I've watched it probably 10,000 times. Yeah, I think a flawless first round. I would say perfect first round, and then second round got a little sloppy, got a little brawly, but then third round we recouped and got after it. Yeah, dominated all three rounds against a very tough guy. This guy went to a split decision with Beneil Dariush. He's got some really big wins. The only and he fought Gregor Gillespie, who's the most credentialed wrestler in the UFC and won the first round on 4 days' notice and was winning the second round. And then he just got tired, got put in a bad spot, and couldn't recover from it. So I think as my wins go, I think this is the biggest one.
Was there anything about the fight or the 15 minutes in the cage from Diego that you didn't expect?
You know, Not really, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that as a compliment. I thought he was going to be a very, very difficult fight. I trained so hard for him. I told him after the fight, I don't know if he believed me, but I told him after the fight that like I was nervous about this fight. I was super nervous in camp about this matchup. I didn't know if I was going to be able to hold him down. He does such a good job of using his jiu-jitsu to be able to get back to his feet. So I I I I was very nervous, going into this camp for this fight. And so I trained my ass off and it showed. So yeah, I don't think anything surprised me. And I mean that respectfully. He was as tough as I thought he was going to be.
You got your top 15 ranking back. How are you feeling about that? Because you've yo-yoed between probably 15 and 16 over the last year. You win a fight, you get back put number 15. Another guy wins a fight, he takes that spot. So how do you feel about having that number next to your name?
Yeah, it's cool to, put that on my Instagram bio, but I think March 8th I'm going to lose that spot again. So I'm trying not to get like too attached to it. However, I believe my next fight will be against somebody in the top 15 and a big win over him, I think will get me a confirmed stationary spot. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I'm almost debating telling I'm not top 15 because I'm going to get booted again, but I've earned a spot to fight somebody in the top 15, and that's going to keep me in the top 15. Maybe put me in the top 10.
I mean, it's been you and Joel Alvarez kind of jockeying for that position. Why don't we just the UFC match you two up and decide who really is the number 15th ranked best contender in the lightweight division?
I'm for it. Here's my thing is Joel Alvarez, he's such an exciting fighter. I think there's better matchups. I think people want to see me and Benoit fight, and I think they want to see Joel and Jalen Turner fight. And both those guys, Benoit and Jalen, they're in a position where they need to defend their spots.
Mm.
They're not doing great in their last like five. So they got to defend their spots. They got to defend, that they belong in the top 15. Me and Joel were in and out. I think I think those are the matchups you make. If you want to do me and Alvarez, that's fine. The issue is then you lose a contender
Mm.
now.
Of
Like
course.
I think Joel versus Turner makes sense. And I've heard rumors that Joel's going up to 70. He's going to try 55 one more time and then go up to 70. So that's kind of a lose-lose situation because if he beats me, you know,
Mm,
then he moves up to 70. It was like, ah, crap, you know. But if
yeah.
I beat him and then he moves up to 70, it's like, well, like it was the weight cut. So
Mm.
well, I'm down for whoever. As long as they don't train at American Top Team, the answer is most, and you give me enough time to make the weight, the answer is most likely yes.
I caught up with Beneil Dariush last week after the all that happened about his fight, and obviously I mentioned your call out of him after the fight. He seemed more interested in a fight, as everybody is, a fight higher up the rankings. He was talking about Dustin Poirier or Max Holloway or Michael Chandler. Does that surprise you at all? That Beneil's looking in a different direction, and why did you specifically go for him as the name that you wanted to call out on fight night?
Yeah, no, not at all. Doesn't surprise me at all. And Beneil's a good guy, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope he gets those fights.
Mm,
He's earned it. He's one of the guys at the top that I do not have beef with because he's fought everybody.
mm,
He's fought guys below him, above him, and right on his level. So I have no issue with Beneil Dariush asking for somebody a little bit higher up than me. I do have a problem with guys like Michael Chandler, who I don't believe have proven that they belong where they belong, and refusing to fight anybody that's lower than them, refusing to take any risk. This whole sport is about risk, and guys like that refuse to take the risk. Your Justin Gaethjes, your Chandlers, those type of guys just want to sit at the top. I got no issue with Beneil Dariush not wanting to fight me. I didn't actually think that fight was going to happen.
mm,
I believe, and there's no word on this. It's just what I believe. I believe my next fight will be Benoit Saint Denis. Um, and again, that's just a feeling. That there's
mm,
no talks of that at all. Just a feeling, and
mm.
I'm cool with it. And I'm cool with fighting somebody outside the top 15 too. If Nasrat, who I believe fights soonish, right? He fights a couple weeks, maybe this week. I
Yep,
can't remember. He fights
couple of weeks.
soon. If
Yep.
if he gets a big win, I think he deserves a shot at the top 15. So that's another guy. Like I said, dude, as long as they don't train at ATT and you give me enough time to make the weight, the answer is probably I can't think of anybody I'm going to say no to off the top of my head, but the answer is probably yes.
How would you order the top 15 in terms of guys who maybe are sitting on a ranking and maybe have a number next to the name, but given recent form, maybe don't deserve it? How would you, in your mind, reshuffle the division to make it more even in terms of who's done the more recent quality work?
Well, I think the first thing I would do is I would say losing high profile fights does not guarantee your spot.
Mm,
I'm 11-1 in the UFC. Yeah, Bobby Green got me good, but other than that, I've been pretty much running the show. 12 UFC fights, one loss. That's pretty. That's pretty good, I would think.
mm,
Then you got a guy like Michael Chandler who has 2 wins in the UFC and 4 losses, and his 2 wins are a 7-fight losing streak. Tony Ferguson and Dan Hooker before he had tattoos and bleach blonde hair. So it's not really like that big of a win. I would say somebody like Michael Chandler needs to fight a Paddy Pimblett or a Grant Dawson or a Benoit Saint Denis or Beneil Dariush. Somebody behind him that is a young up and comer that doesn't have the Conor McGregor or Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje effect. Like, dude, you had your shot at those guys. You've made your money. He's richer than all of us. Good for him. Fight somebody behind you.
100%. Um, you mentioned there about not wanting to fight teammates from American Top Team. What was your reaction when you heard the news that Renato Moicano was going to step in on around about a day's notice and fight the champion and number one contender, no, number one pound for pound, excuse me, in Islam Makhachev?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you meant.
Mm,
Nothing but happiness.
yeah.
There are few guys that deserve those types of opportunities. Moicano is the exception. Like he deserves every good thing that happens to him. He's always in the gym. He's always working hard. He's never said no to a fight. Good on him. I was nothing but happy for him. I thought they were going to ask me to fight Beneil Dariush, uh, and I told my team if they ask me to fight Beneil, I'll step up and I'll fight Beneil on the pay per view. But they never asked. So better scenario was I fight the guy I was training for, and then I ask for Beneil Dariush after,
Mm.
and it didn't pan out, which is fine. Yeah, we're moving on. We're on to bigger and better things.
Do you consider Renato and Arman as teammates? And the reason why I ask that is I know that American Top Team is such a big gym and there's so many subsections and subgroups that train separately. Do you consider both of those guys actual teammates?
That's a tough question to answer.
Mm,
That it's a personal preference.
mm,
There is no such thing as a teammate when the belt is on the line. I say I'm not going to fight a teammate.
mm,
That is with the asterisk of the belt not being on the line.
mm.
If Renato Moicano, who is a very close friend of mine, had won that night, and by some weird thing they were like, Grant, will you step in and fight Moicano? The answer is yes. Uh, if they ask me to fight Moicano next, the answer is no. There's just so much more that goes into this than people think, where it's like the belt is on the line. This is life changing money. This is goal achieving, life goals achieving this. Like, we can put our friendship on hold for 25 minutes. If it's just, a fight, I just think there's more guys to fight. There's two guys in the top 15 that realistically are my teammates and I could fight, and that's Gamrot and Moicano. And I'm just not interested in fighting them unless
Mm.
the belt's on
Yeah,
the line. I don't want to set their careers back, and I don't want them to
of
set
course.
my career back.
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, did the main event, play out as you expected given the circumstances?
No, I thought Moicano was gonna. I remember watching him drop him in the first, and I was like, "We got this." Like, Moicano's gonna do it. Like, I wish I had bet my house on him. Like
Mm,
I wish I'd gone in on him. Like he definitely looked like he was about to start taking over. I will say that Moicano trained like zero wrestling in his entire fight camp. He was training to strike the entire time, and so that plays a big difference when you don't train for a specific style. It'd be kind of like me fighting a wrestler and then getting a striker, on a day's notice. So it does change a lot. I do think that Moicano is a very good matchup for. Excuse me. Islam is a very good matchup for Moicano. I think Moicano is one of the guys that could get it done if he had 8 weeks.
mm. If if roles were reversed and you were offered that opportunity to fight for the belt in, essentially your goal that you've been training all this
Hmm.
career
Yeah.
to fight for, but it's on less than ideal circumstances, it's on a day's notice and you haven't
Hmm.
had barely any time to prepare, do you say yes or do you say no?
Oh, I would have said yes immediately. I don't even think I would have asked for a raise. It would have been one of those things where I couldn't have said yes fast enough, honestly. I don't think you get to decide when your kingdom is under siege. So I'm ready to go at any time. I've been training to fight Islam Makhachev since I learned what his name is, and he has no idea who I am. So I think I go into that fight with a big advantage.
Grant, we've been talking a little bit about Islam Makhachev. Is he your number one pound for pound? And if so, what makes the lightweight champion so great?
Yeah, I definitely think he's up there. I hate to beat a dead horse, but I think John Jones is the greatest fighter we've ever seen.
Mm,
He's definitely the thing I don't like about the sport is it's so what have you done for me lately? Like I said,
mm,
I'm 11-1 in the UFC, and there's guys with terrible UFC records that are ranked above me because they have a little bit more exciting fights. I get it, whatever, but John Jones has beaten everybody. Two division world champion, beaten everybody. Nobody has beaten him. He his one loss, he got DQ'd. Islam's one loss, he got knocked out. They're not the same.
mm.
Those losses are not the same. And if John Jones wasn't such an asshole, I think that he would have a lot more people agreeing with me, and he would be undefeated if he wasn't such an asshole because he probably wouldn't have done that illegal move and gotten DQ'd in the first
Mm.
place. But no, he should be undefeated. He is undefeated. Uh, the only argument you can make is that John Jones has failed drug tests and Islam Makhachev hasn't. The thing I'm going to say, though, is I think that that's because Islam's in Russia and John Jones is here. I think they're both cheating. I have no evidence to prove that. That is merely a freedom of speech, you know, guess. That it
Mm.
is all I'm is it is a guess. I think they're both cheating, and I think Islam's just better at cheating than John Jones was.
Have you gone full Nate Diaz? Everybody's on steroids?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you live in America, you're definitely not on steroids because
Mm.
we get tested like crazy.
100%. Well, last question from me. You make a great start to the year with your last win. What are the rest of your goals for 2025? Where would you like to be come the end of the year?
Come the end of the year, I want to be top 7. I would like to fight Michael Chandler April 12th in Miami. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'm going to end up fighting Benoit Saint Denis. But after Benoit Saint Denis, I want Michael Chandler. That's my goal. Beat three really good guys back to back to back, top seven, and then we go for Charles. Then we go for the belt.
I love it. Well, Grant, always good to see you back in action. Congratulations on the win. Appreciate your time today. I look forward to seeing you back in action soon.
Absolutely appreciate it, brother.